In a quiet village in Hong Kong, a school was about to close its doors forever, until a teacher stepped in. This is the true story of a teacher who gave up everything and, in return, found 5 little souls who would change their life forever. This is not just a story, it's a journey of hope, love, and the kind of courage that only comes from the heart. Hello everyone, welcome to ScreenVille. This is the story of Little Big Master. Let's begin. At the beginning of the movie, we see a children's painting. It shows trees, the sun, a rainbow, and many children. But over time, the number of children decreases until only 5 remain. The scene shifts to one of Hong Kong's most prestigious and expensive kindergartens. This school has 2 kinds of classes. One class is for regular students, and the other is for students who always score perfect marks. Among the special students, there's a child feeling upset. The class teacher asks why the child is sad. The child says that today he scored 98 out of 100. The teacher replies that this is a very good score, but the child explains that if his parents find out he scored 98, they will scold him a lot, especially his father. This conversation is shown as a video to the child's guardian. The class teacher's name is Louis. She explains to the child's parents that their child is very scared of them and is worried even about missing 2 marks. The child's mindset is such that they even requested the teacher to give them 2 extra marks, offering money in return. This shows how much mental pressure the child is under. Then the head teacher sitting beside Miss Louis tells the child's parents that they have decided to move the child to the regular student class so the child can relax mentally. Hearing this, the child's father gets very angry. He says that 98 out of 100 is really very low. He asks why the teachers are not focusing on why the child lost those 2 marks. He threatens that if they can't help his child, he will not keep the child at their school and will send the child to a better school instead. Miss Louis becomes upset and leaves to stand on the balcony. Then we see the head teacher pleading with child's parents. Miss Louis clearly does not like what is happening. Next, we see Miss Louis' husband. He works making miniatures, small models of large buildings at a company. But through a colleague, he learns that he is no longer needed at the company. When he asks his boss about it, the boss explains that since it's now the age of computers, 3D models are made digitally, so he does not need to come to work anymore from the next day. After that, we see Miss Louis quietly sitting in a restaurant. Soon, her husband arrives carrying a bouquet of flowers. Miss Louis waves at her husband, and they have drinks together. Then Miss Louis tells him that she has quit her school job because she couldn't bear the abuse directed at the children. Her husband applauds and congratulates her. Then her husband gently begins to say that they have shared many joys and sorrows in life together. But fate's strange rule is that today, both of them are quitting their jobs. Today is actually their wedding anniversary, and every year on this day, they come to this restaurant. Their pictures from each year hang on the restaurant's wall, and this year the husband takes a new photo of them. The scene changes again. Since quitting her job, Miss Louis has been busy living a normal life, keeping herself occupied with daily tasks. One day, during dinner, Miss Louis serves some meat to her husband. But he suddenly notices the meat is completely raw. He thinks for a moment and realizes that Louis might be missing her teaching profession deeply. The next day, Miss Louis is practicing cycling in the gym as usual. On the gym TV, a news report catches her attention. The Hong Kong government is closing many primary schools due to very low student numbers. All the teachers there have already been transferred to other schools. But 5 children remain who cannot afford to attend other schools. These children come to school every day, waiting for a new teacher. The government is looking for a teacher for these children, but the salary is very low, only 4,500 Hong Kong dollars. Because of this, no teacher wants to come. The reporter tries to interview the children's guardians, but they feel very embarrassed. One guardian says, "We don't have the means to send our children to the city. We are helpless. It seems we have no choice but to stop the children's education here." In the next scene, we see Miss Louis driving toward that village. She stops her car and asks an elderly woman for the school's address. The woman tells her that the school has long been closed. Miss Louis says she saw on TV that 5 children still come to the school. The woman, annoyed, shows her the way to the school. The school is now completely dilapidated and deserted. Miss Louis walks slowly through the main gate and peeks around. Everything is shut down. She then goes to an open window and sees 5 children asleep in the classroom, each lying in different positions. One small child named Choo Choo lifts his head from the table and looks sleepily toward Miss Louis. Miss Louis smiles gently. Choo Choo slowly picks up the mask in front of her and puts it on. Miss Louis doesn't understand this. Suddenly, Choo Choo shouts to her friends, telling them a reporter has come from the city and that they should hide quickly or else their pictures will be taken. All the children hide behind a table while Choo Choo hands out masks to everyone. Miss Louie shouts, "I am not a reporter, I am your new teacher." But the hiding children remain completely silent. Miss Louie then says, "Well, you love to study, right? Then answer one question. How many legs does a bee have?" The children cautiously peek out, and one child raises a hand and says, "A bee has 6 legs." "Very good," says Miss Louie. "Now answer another question. How many legs does a spider have?" One girl says, 4, and another girl says, 10. The children begin to argue among themselves. Miss Louie gives the correct answer. A spider has only 8 legs. Then Miss Louie asks the children, "Do you want to hear the third question?" The children come out from hiding and shout, "Yes!" Just then, thunder rumbles outside. Choo Choo covers her ears and says, "The monster is coming." Her friends explain, "That's not a monster, it's the thunder." Meanwhile, a woman arrives and tells Miss Louie to leave. The woman suspects that Miss Louie might be a reporter. Miss Louie drives back home, thinking about those children on the way. That night, when Louie's husband comes home, Miss Louie tells him to wash his hands and face and come to the table. She has prepared a special dinner for him. They sit down together to eat. Miss Louie asks how he likes the food. Her husband tastes it and realizes that Louie must be feeling very good today because she has cooked with great care. He praises her cooking. Miss Louie shows her husband a newspaper report. She tells him that these 5 children want to study, but no teacher wants to go there because the salary is very low. Still, every day, these 5 children come to school with full hope, waiting for their new teacher. She says she went there today and wants to teach them. She doesn't want their dreams to be broken. Louie's husband says, "I have supported you in every part of your life. I will support you in this too, and in the future. I will do everything I can for those children." The next morning, Louie goes to the government office in the village to apply for the school teacher job. But the office head is shocked when he sees Miss Louie's experience. He tells her, "Before, you earned 60,000 Hong Kong dollars a month, but here you will only get 4,500. How will you work here?" Miss Louie replies, "This 4,500 is enough for me. I just want to teach the children." She asks the office head why no other children are enrolled besides these 5. The head says, "We have tried many things, but who would send children to a school without a teacher? They come here because they have no choice. Otherwise, they wouldn't come." That very afternoon, Miss Louie and her husband arrive at the school to clean everything. They start cleaning together. Louie's husband cleans an old AC unit, and whenever he turns it on, dust blows into his face. Miss Louie laughs at this. The couple cleans the entire school thoroughly. The next morning, Miss Louie waits in front of the school's main gate for the children. Time seems to pass slowly, so she moves to the main road. Some people opposite comment, "We heard this madam quit a 60,000 Hong Kong dollars job to come here for $4,500. It's all for show. Maybe she wants to go viral." At that moment, a politician driving a fancy car stops and tells Miss Louie, "This school will close in a year anyway. You are just wasting your efforts. Forget it and think about your future." Miss Louie doesn't listen to anyone and continues to wait. From a distance, she sees the first child coming with his father, pushing a cart. The father introduces himself, and Miss Louie says, "I'm Miss Louie, your child's new teacher." The man is very happy and tells his daughter, "Listen carefully to everything your teacher says." The child stands beside Miss Louie and replies, "Okay, Dad." The man then leaves. Next, the second child arrives with his aunt. The aunt tries to leave quickly after dropping off the child. Miss Louie shouts from behind, "Ma'am, I'm Miss Louie, the new teacher of this school." The woman apologizes and saying, "Sorry, teacher, I'm late for work and have to go now." Miss Louie smiles and waits for the other children. Then another woman rushes in with her child. Miss Louie introduces herself again. The woman says, "Nice to meet you, teacher." She tells her child to listen carefully to the teacher's words and leaves. Out of the 5 children, 3 have arrived. The remaining 2 are twins. Shortly after, they come to school with their mother. Miss Louie introduces herself to their mother as well. Nearby, a cleaning lady mocks, "This teacher won't last even 10 days here." The first class with the 5 children begins, but all the children are still wearing masks, so Miss Louie wears a mask too. She asks the children, "Do you like me better with or without a mask?" The children immediately reply, "Ma'am, we like you better without the mask. Why are you wearing one?" Miss Louie replies, "I also want to see your beautiful faces." Then one child says, "Ma'am, my father forbids me from taking off the mask because reporters often come here and take videos of us. If our faces are shown on TV, people on the street will call us poor children." Miss Louie has no answer to this. She says, "Okay, now I will call each of you by name. If I call your name, take off your mask and say, 'Yes, teacher.'" Miss Louie calls each name one by one, and the children respond, "Yes, teacher." Miss Louie really tries to loosen up with the children. Gradually, the children start trusting her and remove their masks. People nearby watch Miss Louie's teaching secretly, very curious about her, but Miss Louie pays them no mind. She then asks the children, "Tell me your happiest and saddest moments in life." The first child stands up and says, "My happiest moment is when my father earns some extra money at work and buys me chocolate. My saddest moment is when I miss my mother. She only comes to see me sometimes." Then the twin sisters say their happiest moment is when they come to school by taxi, and their saddest moment is when they quarrel with each other on the way. Then a child named Luca stands shyly, lowering her head because his shoes are very dirty. Miss Louie comforts him and says, "Say something, Luca." Luca replies, "Ma'am, I don't know what to say." Now it's Choo Choo's turn. The little girl says, "Ma'am, my favorite time is when my aunt brings me cake. My saddest time is when the monster comes, that is, the thunderstorm, because that monster takes people away." That day, school ends as usual. All the guardians come except the twins' guardian. Miss Louie wants to talk to Choo Choo's aunt, but the aunt is very busy as usual. Miss Louie says, "I will take just 2 minutes of your time." The aunt, irritated, says, "Tell me what you want to know." Miss Louie asks, "Why is Choo Choo afraid of thunder?" The aunt sighs deeply and says, "Choo Choo is my brother's daughter. 2 years ago, her parents died in a road accident. It was a rainy day like this, with thunder in the sky. Choo Choo kept asking about her parents. I didn't know how to answer, so I told her that the monster called Thunder took her parents away. No one wanted to take responsibility for her. Everyone wanted to send her to an orphanage, but I didn't want that. I took on the responsibility to raise her." The aunt wipes her tears, calls Choo Choo, holds her hand, and leaves crying. Miss Louie watches silently. Meanwhile, Miss Louie was still waiting with the twin sisters. Everyone was looking toward the road. After some time, the twins' mother arrived and the children shouted, "Mom!" loudly. The mother apologized to Miss Louie, saying, "Ma'am, sorry, we were late because we walked here." Miss Louie asked, "Why didn't you come by taxi?" The twins' mother said, "They like to ride in a taxi. That's why I let them take a taxi this morning. But we cannot afford it, so now we are walking home." Miss Louie kindly insisted, "If you don't mind, I'll drive you home today." So they all got into Miss Louie's car. The car stopped in front of a slum. This was the twins' home. Before getting out, the woman said to Miss Louie, "Ma'am, forgive me. Starting tomorrow, my 2 children won't come to school. We don't have the means to send them to school that far, and besides, they help their father with work." The woman got out of the car and told her children to say goodbye to their teacher for the last time. With heavy hearts, the children bid farewell and went into the slum. Miss Louie sat in her car for a while, deep in thought. Then she decided to enter the slum to look for the children. After walking a little way, she found the twins helping their father with his work. They hadn't changed out of their school uniforms. The children were very happy to see Miss Louie. She waved at them and shouted, "How about you come to school in my car from tomorrow?" Hearing this, the twins were overjoyed. Nearby stood their parents. The mother thanked Miss Louie profusely. That day, after returning home, Miss Louie called various government offices trying to get support for the school and the children's welfare, but no one responded. Meanwhile, local residents continued to mock her efforts. Miss Louie was still waiting for the children to come, but Luca and Hosasu had not arrived. Time passed, yet the 2 children didn't come to school. So, Miss Louie went to Luca's house. The area around the house was filled with construction company workers blocking the pathway. Miss Louie struggled to enter and heard Luca's father shouting as he argued with the construction workers who were trying to seize the property and block access. Luca's mother saw Miss Louie and asked her husband to calm down. They all went inside. Luca's father had lost one leg. Luca, a young girl, sat silently a little away. Miss Louie spoke to Luca's father. "Look, education is very important for the children." Luca's father looked at her angrily and said, "I never stopped her from going to school. She just didn't want to go on her own." Miss Louie then went to Luca. The girl still sat with her head down. Miss Louie placed her hand on Luca's head and asked, "Why didn't you go to school today?" Luca lifted her head, tears falling, and said, "My parents are always fighting. Their arguments often turn into physical fights. I get really scared. What if I'm not home and they do something terrible while fighting? I might lose both my mom and dad. That's why I didn't go to school." Seeing Luca's worries, her parents were stunned. Her mother cried and apologized to her daughter, promising never to fight again. Luca's father also shed tears. Then Miss Louie, Luca, and her mother worked together to clear away the dirt blocking the house's front. The little girl was now very happy. Miss Louie then set off for Hosasu's house. Along the way, she sees Hosasue pushing the cart. Miss Louie immediately braked her car. The little girl was trying to sell scrap items. A man there tried to cheat Hosasu. Hosasu said, "I know math. My total is 40. Why are you giving me only 30? The man, irritated, handed over 40 and told her to leave. Happy with the money, the little girl ran towards her house. Miss Louie followed everything from a distance and finally reached the girl's home. Hosasu saw her teacher and took her inside the house, then left Miss Louie sitting there as if disappearing somewhere. Miss Louie looked around the messy room and then walked into the kitchen. She saw the little girl cooking for her. Since the girl couldn't reach the stove, she had made special shoes out of paint cans. Although the girl was still a child, reality had made her very responsible. Seeing Miss Louie, the little girl said, "Ma'am, the kitchen is very dirty and hot. Please sit outside. I will bring food for you." Miss Louie hugged the girl and said, "You are a very good girl." Tears welled up in Miss Louie's eyes. Then Hosasu's father came in and asked his daughter, "Did you give your teacher something to eat?" The little girl immediately said, "Yes, Dad." Miss Louie spoke privately with Hosasu's father. He told her, "I told my daughter to go to school, but my health isn't good, so she doesn't want to go anywhere. Her only condition is, you get well first, then I will go to school." Hosasu's father said proudly, "It would be wrong to call her just my daughter. She's also like my mother. She takes care of me like a mother." He sighed and said, "I regret that she misses her mother a lot. She lives in China and hasn't been allowed to stay here. Now I'm old and can't do house repairs like before, so I'm forced to sell scrap items little by little." Miss Louie said, "Since you know how to do repairs, why don't you fix our school gate a little? There's no rush. You can do it slowly." Hosasu's father was very happy to get a new job. Just then, the little girl came with hot food. The three of them sat and ate together. The father told his daughter, "Your teacher has given me a new job. I will make the new gate for your school." The girl was very happy to hear this. The next day, Miss Louie was teaching the children. She asked them, "Now tell me your dreams. What do you want to be or do when you grow up?" The twin sisters said they want to be princesses. Hosasu said she wants to help her father and take care of him. Chuchu said she wants to help her aunt in the restaurant when she grows up. As usual, Luca said, "I don't know what I want to be." Miss Louie then gave the children homework to ask their guardians what they dreamed of becoming when they were young. The children asked Miss Louie, "Ma'am, please tell us your dream too." The scene changes. Luca goes to her father and asks, "Dad, what did you dream of becoming when you were little?" Her father replies, "I barely remembered the dreams I had while half asleep. Stop all these nonsense questions and focus on your studies." Luca feels sad. Her father notices this. Meanwhile, the child named Chuchu asks her aunt, "Auntie, what did you dream of becoming when you were little?" The aunt gets very annoyed while working as the child asks. At the same time, Hosasue asks her father, "Dad, what did you dream of becoming when you were little?" Her father thinks for a moment. Then the twin sisters ask their mother, "Mom, what did you dream of becoming when you were little?" Her mother first says, "I don't remember what I dreamed of. Now you all are my dreams." The children insist more, and then the scene shifts. Luca's father calls her and softly says, "You wanted to know what I dreamed of becoming as a child? I used to run and dream of winning the Olympics for the country." Luca imagines her father exactly as that dream. Now the scene goes to Hosasu's father. He told his daughter that he wanted to be a pilot as a child. Hosasu imagines her father as a pilot. The twins, Jenny and Kitty's mother, told them, "I wanted to be a firefighter when I was little." They imagine their mother as a firefighter. Now it's Chuchu's turn. Chuchu's aunt told her she wanted to be Miss Hong Kong as a child. Chuchu imagines her aunt as Miss Hong Kong. The children were really imagining how wonderful it would be if their guardian's dreams had come true. Chuchu hugs her aunt's neck and says, "Auntie, I love you very much." The aunt, crying, replies, "I love you very much too, and my dream is to raise you well." After hearing about their parents' dreams, the other children are very happy. Everyone writes their parents' dreams on a piece of paper and posts them in the school somewhere. That day, heavy rain was pouring outside. Miss Louie was teaching the children. One child raised their hand to go to the washroom. And immediately all the children raised their hands together asking to go. Miss Louie takes the children to the school washroom, but it was flooded with rainwater. So she takes them to the local public toilet. Outside, heavy rain was falling along with thunder. And you know, Choo Choo is very scared of thunder. The child couldn't bear the thunder anymore and ran away. Miss Louie and the other children called out to Choo Choo from behind. Choo Choo sat under a room pressing her ears. Miss Louie went to her and asked, "What happened?" Choo Choo, crying, kept saying, "The monster is going to take all of us." Miss Louie comforted Choo Choo and then told her the truth about her parents. "Your mom and dad were not taken by any monster. They died in a road accident." Hearing this, Choo Choo cried a lot. Miss Louie said, "You will never see your parents again here. They are now in the sky. They miss you very much too. Maybe they come as rain and clouds to talk to you." Miss Louie stepped out into the rain and shouted to Choo Choo, "Look, this rain and these clouds are not monsters. They are not taking me away." She came back to Choo Choo and explained, "If you want to say anything to your mom and dad, you can put your hand in the rainwater and say it." Miss Louie took Choo Choo's hand and led her outside. Choo Choo stretched her hand toward the rainwater. The little girl cried a lot and said, "Mom, Dad, wherever you are, be well. I miss you so much." Miss Louie hugged Choo Choo tightly and looked up at the sky. The scene changes. The next day was Sunday. Since it was a holiday, Miss Louie stayed home and was talking to someone on the phone. Meanwhile, in front of Luca's house, the construction company workers were still at it. But then, the police arrived. They arrested everyone on the spot. The police informed Luca's father, "It was Miss Louie who filed the complaint against this construction company. They will never bother you again." Hearing this, Luca's parents were overjoyed. The next day, Miss Louie took the children and their guardians to a local park for a picnic. Everyone was happy. The children laughed and played to their heart's content. Just then, the same politician approached Miss Louie. With a smirk, he said, "In a few days, one of your students will move on to high school. Then you'll be left with only 4. And if the number of students falls below 5, the government will be forced to shut down your school." He laughed and walked away, leaving Miss Louie heartbroken. At that moment, a ball rolled toward Choo Choo's feet. Some children with disabilities were playing nearby. Choo Choo picked up the ball and handed it back to them. That simple gesture turned into a friendship, and soon they were all playing together. The teacher of the disabled children, who was herself physically challenged, walked over to Miss Louie. "I recognize you," she said warmly. "I saw you on TV. You're doing so much for these kids." Miss Louie sighed. "But I'm so worried. In a few days, one of my students will leave for high school. If we don't get any new admissions, the government will shut us down." The teacher looked her in the eye. "I can't believe I'm hearing such hopeless words from you. If you reach out to the parents, I'm sure you'll find new students." Her words gave Miss Louie hope. She decided to campaign for new admissions herself. The next day, she printed flyers and handed them out on the streets. She also asked the children's guardians for help. "In a few days, we'll be having our annual school program. I want to decorate the school beautifully," she told them. Everyone agreed to help. Miss Louie began teaching the children a special dance for the program. Every day after school, she distributed more flyers. Luca's father even managed to get a walkie-talkie for the school, which made Luca very happy. Ho Sasu's father continued working on building the school gate, and Miss Louie's husband supported her in every way. Step by step, the preparations for the annual program were coming together. The children worked with excitement every single day. Finally, the school gate was completed too. But in the middle of all this, Miss Louie was neglecting her own health. She had an appointment with her doctor, but didn't go. This made her husband quite upset. The next day, Miss Louie sent him a message apologizing and promised, "I'll go to the doctor in 2 days." Her husband, reassured by her promise, felt relieved. And then, the most awaited day arrived. Today, the parents of prospective new students would visit the school. Everyone decorated the school beautifully. A variety of food was prepared. Nothing was left out in their effort to make the visitors feel welcome. Banners were hung on the streets to greet everyone. Luca's father was assigned to watch the road with the walkie-talkie so he could alert them if anyone came. The children eagerly waited. Suddenly, from afar, a white car appeared. Luca's father, full of excitement, shouted into the walkie-talkie, "A car is coming this way!" The children and guardians cheered in joy. But just as the car approached the school, it turned down another road. The cheerful faces of the children fell into silence. Miss Louie stepped forward and comforted them. "There's still time," she said with a smile. "Someone will come. I know they will." Everyone was waiting. Suddenly, another car appeared in the distance. This time, it was heading straight toward the school. Everyone's faces lit up with excitement once again. They all rushed to their positions, ready to welcome the visitors. The car stopped in front of the school gate. The village chief came forward to greet them warmly. But as soon as the father of the child saw the old, run-down school building, his face fell. He lost all interest in going inside. From behind, his wife quietly said, "We are not enrolling our child here." The car turned around and drove away. The village chief shouted desperately, "Please, just come inside once." From above, the children leaned out and cried out in unison, "Uncle, please come in just once." But their little voices didn't reach him. In an instant, everyone's smiles disappeared. A heavy silence fell over the place, and hopelessness spread like a shadow. Just then, Miss Louie's phone rang. It was an old friend, asking to meet her immediately. Miss Louie looked at everyone and said, "There's still plenty of time left. If anyone comes, please make sure to welcome them properly." She then left for her friend's office. Her friend was the head of a well-known coaching center in the city. He introduced Miss Louie to other teachers there. The press and media were also present, taking pictures of her. Her friend was clearly trying to use her popularity. After all, the whole country now knew her as an extraordinary teacher. He said to her, "Forget that small school and those children. We're opening a new school. You will be the vice principal. Do you know how much your salary will be?" He grabbed a calculator and showed her. $120,000. Miss Louie looked him in the eye and said, "I am a teacher. My job is to share knowledge with children, not to sell my profession for money. Thank you for wasting my time." She turned and walked out. Miss Louie had not sold herself for money. She returned to the school. Inside, everyone sat quietly with heavy hearts. The moment the children saw Miss Louie, they ran to her and wrapped their arms around her. "Teacher," they cried, "no one came to enroll in our school?" Miss Louie's heart sank. She opened her mouth to say something, but suddenly she collapsed to the ground unconscious. Everyone panicked. She was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance. The children, their guardians, and even the village chief waited anxiously for news. The doctor told Miss Louie's husband, "She needs to stay in the hospital for at least a week." Days passed. The children were heartbroken. In Miss Louie's absence, her husband came every day to teach them. Meanwhile, the children's guardians continued to hand out flyers on the streets, still hoping to find new students. These people truly wanted the school to survive. Finally, after several days, Miss Louie's health improved. She was discharged from the hospital. Instead of going home, she went straight to the school, because today was the day of the annual program. As she arrived, the same politician from before smirked at her and said, "Go on, today is your school's last day." Miss Louie ignored him and walked inside. The school was silent. Only the 5 children and their guardians were there, waiting for her with tear-filled eyes. They ran to her, hugged her tightly, and welcomed her with all their love. For all the effort and sacrifices Miss Louie had made, everyone surrounded her with gratitude. They all sat together. The village chief, with a heavy voice, announced, "From tomorrow, the school will be closed. We couldn't get a single new student." Miss Louie broke down in tears. Her husband held her, trying to comfort her. And then, the program began. The children performed for Miss Louie. The children were performing the dance Miss Louie had taught them, right in front of her. As Miss Louie watched them, her tears doubled. She knew she would miss these moments forever. The children's guardians were also crying. Meanwhile, groups of villagers gathered outside the windows, peeking in. They too were deeply moved by the children's performance. When the dance finally ended, the room erupted in applause. Miss Louie, the villagers, everyone clapped with all their hearts. The children raised their little hands toward Miss Louie, and through gestures, asked her how their dance was. With tear-filled eyes, Miss Louie nodded and smiled, letting them know they had done wonderfully. One by one, the children came forward and thanked her for all her sacrifices, for everything she had done for them. Miss Louie walked up to them and hugged them tightly. Even her husband's eyes were wet. Seeing such a heartfelt moment, the villagers couldn't hold back their tears either. Miss Louie stood up and began to speak to everyone. "Today is both a sad day and a happy one," she said softly. "From tomorrow, our dear Luca will be going to high school. It's a new beginning for her." Miss Louie's husband handed her a graduation gown. She placed it gently on Luca's shoulders. "In my 20 years of teaching," Miss Louie continued, "I have put this gown on many children, but today, it hurts the most. Yet I know that in the new local school, Luca will do amazingly well." She handed Luca her certificate and stepped down from the stage, sitting back in her chair. Luca then stood before everyone. There was a time, Luca began, her voice trembling, when all my friends left this school. Then many of my teachers left too. Only the 5 of us remained. And then, one day, this teacher came. She loved us. She taught us so much. For that, we are forever grateful. By the end of her words, Luca was crying uncontrollably. Miss Louie was crying too. Luca walked up to Miss Louie, hugged her tightly, and said, "Teacher, one day you asked me what my dream was. Back then, I told you I didn't know. But today, I do. I want to become a teacher just like you." Miss Louie held Luca close, hugging her tightly as if she would never let go. Everyone in the room was crying, because in a moment as real as this, holding back tears was impossible. Do you remember what was left unsaid before? That day, Miss Louie's dream was never revealed. Now, at last, we see it. That day, she had said, "My dream is to become a good teacher, and for this school to never close." But slowly, that dream was fading. She would have to leave with only these beautiful memories. And then, the screen fades to black. White text appears. Miss Louie's dream did not end here. That very day, the villagers came with their children to enroll them. Today, in this small school in Hong Kong, Miss Louie is still teaching. Now, the number of students is 64. This is the real Miss Louie, and these are the real children. If this touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to ScreenVille. Join us for more inspiring stories that remind us why kindness and courage matter most.